Very, very much. I mean, you were talking about the private sector getting involved, and there are many issues that face the continent, and we talk about education, we talk about the private sector, and we also talk about gender parity. Well, that's one of the big issues under discussion, and I don't think there's a better person to talk to about perhaps all of these issues, all bundled up into one package, is Maria Ramos. Now, many of us know Maria Ramos. I mean, she has been heading up many of our companies here in South Africa, but she's in the position now of the woman leader of one of the world's biggest banking brands, and that's Barclays Africa. Maria, it's so good to have you, and welcome to Morning Live.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you very much, Leanne.
Absolute pleasure. You know, we're talking about the private sector getting involved and all of these partnerships going forward. Are the private sector always willing to help? I mean, by just being here, obviously it's a sign that is there, and there is the will to want to do that. But how much help are you willing to give?
Well, of course, we're more than willing to be involved. We're very much part of the communities we work and live in. I mean, I run Barclays Africa. We are big across this continent. We're in 12 countries. Our footprint is enormous. We have 12 million customers and clients across the continent. We're part of a large global group as part of Barclays. Our purpose is to make a difference in the lives of people in the countries and the communities we live in and we work in. So being involved is very much part of what we want to do. We get involved in different ways. We are a financial services institution. And so if you think about one of the topics of conversation at the World Economic Forum and the very theme of the World Economic Forum, which is about reimagining Africa, we, part of that is thinking about innovation. Across this continent, we have one of the highest adoption rates of mobile technology. 12% of the population of our continent uses a mobile wallet. Compare that to the world average of around 2%. We have a big role to play in that as a financial services organization, and we're doing a lot on that front. We also do a lot in terms of what we do with our citizenship programs. We do a lot in terms of developing financial markets, in deepening financial markets, in the way we finance corporates, in the way we work with governments, in understanding how to finance infrastructure and thinking about new ways of doing things. So it's all about each one of us as corporates, whether we are local corporates, regional corporates, global corporates, working together, can find ways of helping Africa. And when I say Africa, we must think about this continent because every country is different and we're a big continent. But it's how we make a difference in development, in creating opportunities for growth, for youth, for job creation. And that's what's exciting. And that's why I think the theme of this World Economic Forum is absolutely right.
Yeah. It is a beautiful theme, actually, Reimagine Africa, because it is a continent with so much potential. And in order to imagine its growth could perhaps make it a reality. But you've touched on something very, very important in terms of banking in Africa. Every paper I've opened, every analysis I've read seems to be focusing in on banking and mobile technology and the link therein, where we're finding ourselves on the brink of something massive, I think. I mean, when you look at statistics of how many of the people in Africa don't even have bank accounts. I mean, that is something that's not even thought of. I mean, I'm not sure of the percentages. I'm sure you know those. But now things should be changing, and I think that this is one of the platforms where it'll be discussed with mobile banking.
Well, they are changing, and so part of the conversations here are going to be about inclusivity and inclusive banking and inclusive financial services, and how we reach that mass market and how we give people access to financial services. Having a banking account or having access to a payments platform is fundamentally important. It's transformative. You can imagine that if you're sitting out there and you have not had access to a way of transacting efficiently, that's very debilitating. It's very disempowering from an economic point of view. We now have the technology and the capability of extending financial services to people using innovation, using mobile technology, and that's really what one of the big revolutions across this continent. And you can see the economic benefit of that extending. We're doing it. I know our competitors are doing it. I know non-banking competitors are doing it, which makes us as banks, try even harder.
Absolutely.
But as Barclays, being part of a global group that's doing this across the world, gives us I believe, a big competitive advantage. But it's about finding solutions, also solutions that are relevant for people. So in each country, those solutions may be slightly different. And, customers also want to have the ability to define their own solutions. So mobile technology is evolving in very interesting ways, and a lot of what we're doing is also responding to customers' needs.
It's an amazing era we live in to see all of these changes taking place. It's also an amazing era for you as a female to be heading up Barclays Africa. And one of the big issues under discussion is gender parity. How do you feel in this position? You're no one strange to this. It's not the first time that you've been in these powerful positions. But as a woman, is it still difficult, or do you find nowadays it's actually we are seeing change?
Well, we are seeing change, but we shouldn't be complacent about that change. In my own organization, we have a really big focus on diversity, and particularly on ensuring that there's a higher representation of women in senior positions across our organization. And so when we think about diversity, we think about gender diversity. And in South Africa, we think about employment equity, so both race and gender. But we shouldn't be complacent. It's still, I think we need to recognize that it's still difficult for women to progress. It's still, there are still biases, there are still barriers. So it's about working very diligently to ensure that where those biases exist, we deal with them. We educate people. We bring those barriers down. We create opportunities, and that those opportunities result in ensuring that society as a whole begins to see the value of the work that women do and the opportunity that creates for growth. And if I think around in our own continent and the role that women play in this continent, and the fact that if we create better working opportunities for women, we can actually make a significant impact on growth. So it's about continuously expanding the opportunities for women to do bigger things. And I think that's what's also very exciting.
Well, I suppose exciting times we're living in. Thank you so much for talking to us. You've got big sessions ahead of you today, so thanks for your time and your input.
Right. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Maria Ramos talking to us here on the program about many issues, but one thing I think is important is to take a look at gender parity here on the continent. Also, mobile banking. It's huge. It's happening. It's big. This is our future. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the program here on Channel 404 SABC News. It's been wonderful being with you.